to your point, Jack, you'd mentioned Seinfeld being a billionaire off of the Seinfeld reruns, but
Hmm.
him and Larry David only get 15% of that back end. So that's enough for them to be billionaires, but 15%. Trey Parker and Matt Stone get 50, half of every streaming deal. So the 1.5 billion that Paramount
That's
paid
messy
them,
numbers, isn't it?
yeah, they get 750 million. Prior to that, HBO paid 550 million for 5 years. They got 275 million. Before that, Hulu paid 200 million for 5 years. They got 100 million. Dude, those numbers are only going to go up, and it's in perpetuity. So Paramount gets half, and Matt Stone and Trey Parker get half. This will be worth 5 to 10 billions over lifetimes of this deal.
Welcome to another episode of No Investment Advice. You got Trung Fan, Jack Butcher, Bilal Zaidi. Here you go, boys. Jack is back from his Oasis concert. We got to get the deets on that, Jack. But before we get into that, let's talk about the topics today. We've got Chamath is launching a SPAC, boys. What part of the cycle is this? And the spoiler alert, it literally says no crying in the casino in the S1 that was filed. I mean, I want to get all the memes from you guys on this one. This was an insane... I feel like this needed to be on NI just to record the moment in time when we look back on this all. We're also going to talk about Intel, that deal with Intel, or what's going on with Intel. And then lastly, fun fact fan, South Park guys are officially billionaires. Trung is going to explain what's going on with that. That's a pretty crazy story. Jack, do you want to tell us about your travels, mate? Well, just the Oasis concert. Obviously, Oasis is core NIA to the listenership. People know.
Lore.
Yeah.
Legacy.
How was it, man?
It was great, man. I mean, just incredible. Wembley. My first time at Wembley, actually, Bilal.
Oh, serious?
Never been to Wembley before, yeah. Yeah. So,
that's Wimbledon, right? That's a Wimbledon stadium?
No, it's like the football.
No.
It's the football
stadium. It's football. I was going to be like, Wimbledon stadium sounds kind of small, dude. No, Wembley's a big
Wembley,
football.
mate. Yeah.
What is that? 100,000 people, 80,000 people?
I think 100,000 is in the seats, and then they obviously have the pitch, don't they? So I don't know what it would have been.
Oh, Wembley's the Live Aid one, right? The Live Aid famous 1985.
Yeah, this is a new Wembley. Yeah. But yes. Yeah, just class. Like it's going to be very hard to top that. I feel like, just in terms of maybe there was one early song they played that I didn't know every word to, but every single other tune for 2-hour set. Just they have so many insane.
What was for you the highlight? What is the number one takeaway for you?
Takeaway.
What is the moment?
I feel like
nice little.
The highlight, like the most significant thing, I think, is like in the lead up to it, people were wondering if Liam's voice was gonna be like the level of intensity he used to perform at. Is it gonna be like a little bit down regulated to make it through all of the dates? And it was great, man. Just I saw him in 2010, and at that point I wasn't even like a huge Oasis fan. Weirdly, like the compounding effect applied to my Oasis listening over the next 10 years. And man, it's just class, just incredible.
That nostalgia on steroids, I take it. And you were there with
just think
school
like,
friends.
how are you going to replicate that? Yeah, how are you going to replicate that? You got like another 20 or 30 years of listening to, it's probably not going to happen to me again. So pretty amazing. I went actually with a friend of mine from the States.
Oh, no way.
American Oasis enjoyer, yeah.
Enjoy. That's incredible, man. Well, anyway, glad
I recommend it. And they got I think 5 or 6 dates in the States. I think Jersey.
Yeah, there's one coming up in Jersey in a couple of weeks.
Mexico City. If you are in a position to go to one of those, you should go. That is investment advice.
There you go.
That actually might be the best investment advice that we've had on this podcast.
You know what's funny, actually, Trung? Well, this might be. We met this guy in the after drinks bit, who's trying to buy the Oasis catalog after they finish the tour.
Wow!
What do you think that's worth?
He's a big PE guy.
Yeah.
All right, ballpark, I'd say, well, knowing that Wonderwall is like the only song from the 90s that has 1 billion streams, I'd say it's worth 250 to 500 million.
400, he said to me. So you're.
You said 400?
spot on.
Okay.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
I was guessing just
fan,
based
there
on.
we go.
Yeah.
Well, dude, Bruce Springsteen sold for 500. Bieber sold for 250. Dude, it just,
Yeah, sounds about right, doesn't it?
when you have those, as you well know, we've spoken about in this podcast, when you have those like total outlier songs, like the ones that, like the Wonderwalls, the shit
Power
that will
law.
just stream. Yeah, the power laws, right? That's what you're paying for.
They returned the fund.
You return the fund. Well,
Wonderwall
talking of
is a
return the
fund
fund,
returner.
we got to transition to SPAC, Chamath SPAC time. I did see there was 50 funny tweets on this, but someone said really sad to hear the news about Chamath relapsing. That was a banger. I mean,
Bilal,
let's
you
break
got to
it
read
d-
the name of the SPAC.
Oh man, wait! I literally don't even
What
have
is
it
it?
written down. It was American something. What was it? One of you know off the top of your head.
I don't know. It is.
Trung, what was the name of the SPAC that he's launching? American Dream. What is
American
it?
exceptionalism. That's all you need to know.
Wait.
Those are the words. No. Hold on. It is a.
Let's
why are
pull it
people
up.
hiding
'cause-
this?
So I
Yeah,
normally
it's
have
called
this
American
written, but I'm-
exceptionalism. American
No, it's got some
exceptionalism
extra words in
acquisition.
there. Acquisition
No,
Corp.
American, yeah. American
yeah,
Exceptional Acquisition Corp. I mean, what is there to say, guys? What is there even to say? I have no comment.
I guess what were the returns
let me-
of
so-
the
so-
last few SPACs he did? That's another way of just
Well,
historical
another
record.
thing is, Ban, maybe you could do a like elementary breakdown of the SPAC as a vehicle and
Yeah,
what
what
the
is a
incentives
SPAC?
are
Exactly.
for somebody to make one and sell one, and why would there be an incentive for this to be brought to market?
Well, so the SPAC boom, as we all remember on this podcast. I mean, what is a SPAC, right? You're taking in
What is it? Special
the-
purpose what is it called?
acquisition company. Yeah. So like the broad outlines are this, right? You going public requires a lot of paperwork, as we all know, and more restrictive, filings and requirements of a company.
Accounting, yeah.
Yeah. So what that means effectively is there are certain ways around going public. So what's funny, actually, the SPAC phenomenon that happened in 2021, like in Canada, SPACs have been extremely popular, which is basically, they call it like a reverse a merger, a reverse takeover. It's like you find an existing public company, somebody that's gone through the paper filing process, and then you basically stick an operating company into it, right? Like in Canada, one of the reasons these became so popular is, if we're being quite frank, Canada's does not have the equivalent of an SEC. Effectively, is like it's run at the provincial levels. There's a lot more permissive environment in Canada for a long time. Is like penny stocks, over the counter, things like that have run wild in Canada. Vancouver used to have a stock exchange, but it was so much insider trading around mining stocks, energy stocks, that it no longer exists. So it just gives you an idea of like of Canada's public market situation. So the SPAC situation, just think you have a company and it might not actually be ready for public markets. So you don't want to go through the traditional process of doing a normal IPO roadshow. So you stick it into an existing corporate shell. Now, the one thing that really came to bite people in 2021, as we'll remember this, zero revenue SPACs, right? Is like the thing with a SPACs is that you could write forward.
Peak ZERP era,
Yes,
right? That was
peak ZERP.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, you could write forward-looking projections in your prospectuses. So, like for a
that
typical
community adjusted
Yeah.
EBITDA.
Community
was that
adjusted.
thing.
you could stuff it with, like, frankly, just absolute BS, right? You could just be like, because like a normal public filing for typical IPO, you are actually restricted on how much you can project out, right? And like how much you can say, oh, here's our forecasted revenue. But like for the SPAC process, you can literally just do like 100-year revenue chart, and here's like a table. In 2050, we'll make $10 billion, right? So that's why you're getting like these like flying taxi vehicles, right? And like all these SPACs we know about. I mean, Chamath famously took how many companies public? And you guys just Google Chamath SPAC. The average performance of his public companies is like down 80 to 90%, right? He did Open Door, which was the iBuyer home company. full
Virgin,
disclosure,
wasn't it Virgin?
I got into
Galactic or
Virgin,
whatever.
Virgin Classic, the space flight one. There's a great New York article.
SoFi.
He did SoFi. A Metro Mile was one that was very famous because he put out a tweet where he said Warren Buffett had Geico, I have Metro Mile. And then, like, it's just unbelievable, right?
Clover Health. No, I'm just looking at a few of these.
Yeah, Clover Health.
18 different deals.
But Bilal, to your point, and you had mentioned it in the filing, the one for his current SPAC, it said he actually literally writes in it, there's no crying in the casino, which is basically has been his defense of retail investors getting rugged on all his SPACs in the past 5 years. I mean, I'll just throw my hand up. I was one of them. I invested in Open Door. I'm like, oh, this sounds interesting. This one pager Chamath put out looks like valid research, pages, right? And so the joke then is, I mean, that was his defense, but he put it in the S1. And listen, you had mentioned, Bilal, what you said, I can't believe Chamath relapsed, right? Like that's what he put out as a tweet. But the other tweet I saw, I can't remember who wrote it. A number of people wrote it, is like, listen, if you're investing in this SPAC, knowing what you know, it's like, what are you doing? It's like, if anything happens, you got to know, right? It's just,
you know the risk by this point for sure. Yeah.
So, yeah, that's why. I mean, that's the joke, right? Is like so many. So just to round out, Chamath is back. People are like, this is 2021 vibes, and things are getting spicy again with AI too. And this actually transitions over to Intel when we talk about it right after. But I mean, I'll pass it off to you guys. What does this tell you guys when you saw this hit the headline? What was the kind of feeling?
Well, the one thing that feels like weirdly contradictory about it is, isn't it like DeFi focused? Isn't the whole headline
I think there's a mention of that. Yeah, I saw that in one of the tweets. I didn't.
No, he's doing the pitch of DeFi is one of like 5, right? It's like AI, mining, national security related stuff. Obviously, because he's much closer to the current administration, as we've seen with the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, no opinion really, just same reaction of like, it's a shortcut, right? Like in general, the idea of like taking this through the like to the public market without the level of scrutiny that whatever other company that makes it to market gets is largely casino-like behavior, which he's being transparent about, I suppose. But the idea is like just get access to it in massive amount more capital through these will be, the shares for this will be buyable through basically every brokerage platform that exists. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's correct. Like you can,
which is like, where does the most liquidity exist? It's the American stock market. So there's no surprise that's where you're trying to get it to. But in a weird way, it's interesting you don't see more of it. Is it like the just sort of doubling down on it because it's happened before, or like it's strange that you don't see like hundreds of these happening every day?
Well, I was my question was gonna be, are there examples of many that have worked out? And I'm looking at a few examples here, if they're correct. Like DraftKings apparently was a SPAC. Does that sound right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to remember that. Yeah, so that's done well. I think it's different. It's specifically Chamath launching SPACs because he became the SPAC guy. Everyone was very excited, and at the time, I mean, I remember listening to a lot of his podcasts. This is like on his way up to becoming. He was already obviously very successful. He was already a billionaire, whatever. But remember that like peak COVID. I remember listening to some of those pods. I was like, oh, this guy's really explaining stuff really well. Why is the stock market all-time highs when there's a pandemic going on? He actually did a really good job. Obviously, All In podcast took off as well. But
here's hold on. I want to make a couple points here about when you are the SPAC sponsor, which in this case he is. You're the one setting up this vehicle to insert an operating company into this corporate shell. Is you get paid no matter what. Like putting this together, you get fees on top of fees, and you get X percent of the company.
Sounds like being a venture capitalist, Trunk. Is that what you're saying?
No, there it is, right? It's like, I think he was making 9 figures on each deal, regardless of the direction of the public company, right? So, I mean, but it actually isn't just Chamath, which is kind of what Jack was alluding to. Is like, why is it coming back? These are like cyclical in the sense of if there's still retail appetite for the public markets, which there clearly is, we're at all-time highs again, right? And the gambling has not stopped since peak COVID. But the type of companies that go through this route, again, for the reasons that we just laid out, right? It's less stringent requirements to get to market, and you can do forward-looking. Although I think they've kind of restricted how much forward-looking forecasts you can put into the prospectuses. You're attracting a certain type of company, right? Like one that can't necessarily which one? What's the design company we talked about recently that went public? Figma. Figma's not doing a SPAC, right? It's because it's a high growth, extremely well run company that can go through the traditional channels, right? It's not doing a SPAC, and so the type of companies you're gonna get, just to quote someone that has said something, it's not the best. You're not getting the best, right? These are not the best. Which isn't necessary to say, to your point, Bilal, about DraftKings, right? Is like, certainly you can still get companies that perform well in public markets, but you are getting a certain type of company that wants to go this avenue. So, buyer beware. That's it, right?
Yeah, there you go. Perfect way to summarize that. All right, let's talk about Intel. I've seen little bits of pieces. I've been on the road this last week, so I'm not up to date with everything. But what is going on with Intel? Obviously, this seems, again, maybe the 50th time we've said unprecedented in the last 6 months or something. So, yeah, what is going on with Intel? It's obviously one of the historic companies of the US. What is going on here?
Well, it's a follow-up to what we talked about last week, Bilal, regarding AMD and NVIDIA having to pay an export fee effectively. Something that we didn't clarify last week was that fee's not going directly to Trump. Like, obviously, it's going to the federal government. But, like, since we didn't clarify that and think everything's so unprecedented, some people are like, wait, is this money going directly into his pocket? But, yeah, it's going to the federal government. But hey, this is the same deal. This is the same in the auspices of the chip China Cold War II framework. America needs a national champion, and if it's not Intel, there's no one left, right? That's it. It's going to be all TSMC. And while TSMC is building in Arizona, as we talked about last week, the government probably wants, especially because Intel, as Bilal had said, this is the pioneer, right? It's like Intel. Silicon Valley is literally named for the precursor to Intel, right? Fairchild Semiconductor, and that team that started Intel, Gordon Moore and Robert Noyce, and then eventually you had what a lot of people consider the greatest CEO of the second half of the 20th century, Andy Grove, when he was running Intel in the 80s and 90s. So this is like the most important company, arguably, other than Intel and Microsoft, in American tech history. And, I posted a video that went pretty viral on the Barely account.
But Trung, sorry, can I just say one thing? Just to clarify, what was the thing about the US government is acquiring, like, is it 10% or something? What was the TLDR there?
Right, so like the framework we just said was they're proposing to own 10% of the company. Basically what they're going to do is they're going to take a loan that was given under the Biden administration and turn that into equity. So under these kind of CHIP Acts and like the funding and the subsidies that were done under the Biden administration to kickstart domestic manufacturing chips again, they're going to just take that money, instead of making it a loan, they're going to turn it into equity, right? So that raises a bunch of questions. So at that point, the amount being proposed is about $10 billion, which works out nicely because Intel is a $100 billion company, which is literally what it was worth 15 years ago. It was $100 billion. I posted this video of Jensen Huang on Charlie Rose in 2009. At the time, Intel was worth $100 billion and NVIDIA is worth $4 billion. Since then, Intel's market cap's unchanged and NVIDIA is up 1,000 times, right? It's just crazy. And but the point of this is they want domestic manufacturing. And the other thing that came up yesterday, which was given 2021 vibes, was Massa put $2 billion into Intel for 2% of the company. And he actually, so the thing with Intel, we can wrap it up quickly. The thing with Intel was they wanted to do the design part, like they wanted to be like NVIDIA or a Qualcomm, and also the foundry manufacturing part, like the TSMC. And that's always been the tension. I mean, there's been tension from the past 20 years, is because are they prioritizing their own designs versus if you went straight TSMC style where you don't care who you're making the chips for? Like that's always been the concern for for potential customers of Intel, and they've never been able to integrate both the design and manufacturing part. So it sounds like what's going to end up happening realistically is I bet they sell their design business. Maybe Broadcom will buy them up, but Broadcom's extremely acquisitive, or some combination of TSMC and NVIDIA might invest in that. And same deal with the manufacturing. They'll spin it off. It'll be America's manufacturing champion again. But now the largest share owner is America. So the tension is, why are taxpayers potentially bailing them out? Will the government have a say on the roadmap? Will a company like Apple buy Intel chips, even if they're worse than TSMC chips, just to keep the Trump administration happy? So there's a lot of these conflicts of interest. But again, I'll put this as, I think, I haven't looked super closely into it, but if we believe that America should have, if the American public, not even American, but like in the North American spheres, if they should have a manufacturer that's a national champion and not depend on this island off the coast or your top geopolitical enemy, you probably have to do something like this. So I'll just end on that.
I guess the question is, this has happened before in terms of government taking stake in companies, but normally in a bailout situation, right? So because you even just used the word bailout there, I'm thinking of like the 2008 financial crisis.
Yeah, General Motors. Like General Motors took a big environment. AIG took a big investment, and I think getting equity is better. Yeah, I think actually owning
versus like a takeover, or like Jack for UK, what was it, National Rail, or like the old, it's like Thatcher years. Trung, you probably know this because you're a history guy, but
the privatization in the 1980s, yeah,
or the opposite, whatever that's called. The government taking over certain industries. So
reverse merger.
Reverse merger, exactly. Spacking, exactly. Yeah. So I guess the question is, has this happened in this way before with the U.S. government specifically the U.S., because I think the U.S. is very different to some of these other countries I'm mentioning. So is that something that's really happened before, except for in emergency situations? And does this this count as an emergency situation, I guess?
Well, you've had situations like this in the sense of when these companies were starting, when Intel was starting, it was able to, it was private, but the largest contracts that it started with were government contracts, right? It was the melding of the state defense department and capitalism and the private sector. The U.S. government did not own Intel, but it was the largest buyer of chips for military purposes to start. It didn't take long for Intel to realize the consumer market would end up being much more valuable. But to get the ball rolling, you did have this meshing of the state and the private sector. It's kind of
like SpaceX or like
it's not ideal necessarily, but it just, Intel is in such a bad spot right now that if you're trying to if the government's choice is let Intel die and that's it, you have no national champion versus own 10%, deal with some conflicts of interest. Clearly they are going with let's just deal with the conflicts. There's no shortage of conflicts with the existing administration, right? Wouldn't be the first thing. And I think it's interesting. I think it is what it is.
Well, what do you think their strategy is going to be, though, in terms of, you said like NVIDIA's gone obviously parabolic because of AI GPUs. Intel is what we all grew up with, hearing on the adverts for TV, for PC, buying a PC with Intel was like what you're looking for. It was like that and AMD, I guess. So have they talked much about what the future prospects are going to be and what they're going to need to do to like pivot or whatever?
I think what we had just talked about, I think some companies like in Apple will realize it won't be overt, but they'll realize if they drive business to Intel, they'll probably get relief on tariffs. Right? Like there's like all these tools that the Trump administration are using now have put on the table that it won't be an explicit like, hey, use Intel or else we'll keep the tariffs. But it's like, you take Intel to make maybe some older generation chips to provide them a base of business, and then suddenly you'll get relief on your Apple on tariffs on your phones, right? It's like things of that nature, which again is not great.
I was going to say, with your free market hat on, how do you feel about that?
No, but again, it's like I think there has to. We talked about this last week. There has to be some industrial policy at this level because of how important chip making is. So,
have you finished that book, by the way? The chip
board. Yes, it's good.
How was it? Would you recommend
Very good.
it?
Oh yeah, dude, it's 100%. Jensen called it one of his 5 most recommended books. Obviously, he has a reason to say that, but it's definitely well worth the read. It gives a very concise summary of the situation we're in.
Nice. All right, Jack, any other thoughts on Intel, mate?
You did a beautiful job.
All right, great. And just for people know, we're doing a double recording today, so we're going to have to do 2 shorter episodes than usual. But let's get to the last topic then. South Park guys are officially billionaires. That is pretty wild. I guess when you said that in our group chat, I was like, oh, they're like one of the most successful cartoon, shows of all time. I guess I was almost surprised they weren't already, because so yeah, what's the story here? Like, what has happened?
Wait, so Jack, you and Blau are both thinking, oh, aren't these guys already Billies?
I would think probably, yeah. Like Jerry Seinfeld is a billionaire from Seinfeld, right?
That's
like
a good comparison.
Like an analogy, like how much media they have out there, how long they've been producing it, how like it's got to be some of the most famous IP in the world, even to people that don't watch it, right?
It's unbelievable, dude. Are you guys fans? Show. Do you guys watch a lot?
I mean, I don't watch much nowadays, but I did growing up. Like,
when I was growing up, definitely.
What was it? What were your favorites?
Oh, I would have to think.
Kanye fish sticks?
There's one that's coming to mind, which I can't even say because that's the way. There's a few of those, but what was it? Yeah, they're doing like a TV show, where there's like, I'm not gonna, get myself in trouble here, but
well, dude, they're equal. They're equal opportunity offend. Let me before we talk about how they became Billies, and to your guys' point, yeah, it would seem. Wait, these are the most successful TV franchise in the last 3 decades. How could they not be? But like the way they actually became billionaires is actually insane because it was by like the most unlikely clause in TV contract history, which we'll talk about. But Jack, you're a meme guy. You're a media guy. These guys' ability to puncture the zeitgeist and/or set it, it's unbelievable. Jack, you're on mute.
I think the most impressive thing about it, yes, that's true, but it's also, I think a lot of it you can attribute to how fast they work. They've been on like internet time scale since like the, I don't know, late 90s, early 2000s. Mental, isn't it? If you think about like how long it takes, I mean, there is like nightly TV and stuff that's somewhat scripted, but it's just like pointing a camera at a person. It's not like producing a 30-minute animated episode is mental to do.
Wait, Jack, have you seen the documentary 6 Days to Air?
A long time ago, I watched it, but I don't remember much of it. But like that still sticks with me. Like maybe there are other examples, but I wouldn't think with like as incisive cultural criticism and humor. And,
you know that there are no other examples of that time frame. So so I would highly recommend, but I don't know if you've seen 6 Days to Air. It's on YouTube. It's 42 minutes. I haven't
watched it. Yeah, I'll check it out.
So they follow the South Park guys on season 8. Dude, this is how crazy it is. They had Bill Hader writing for them for a season. Like one of the SNL's top writers, went on to be obviously a huge comedian, wrote the show Barry for HBO. He was just a writer on South Park. And to Jack's point, the speed, if you've never seen this documentary, let me just give you a teaser of what they accomplished. They create an episode of South Park in 6 days. The typical animated series takes 6 to 10 months, right? Like, just think about that. We're talking an order of a magnitude difference. And these guys are so dialed in. I mean, a huge part of it is that Trey Parker is he's a giga genius. So even Matt Stone, who's Trey's partner, it's obviously Matt Stone, Trey Parker, they're 50-50 partners. But Matt Stone's even like in that documentary, he's like, oh, Trey's the chef. Like the entire world of South Park lives in his head, right? And it's so crazy that I've heard of other writers that worked in that writer's room, and they're like, it's crazy. It's like Trey. Trey's like 90% of it, but Trey needed the creative, like his relationship with Matt is what makes it work, right? It's just so crazy. It's like Trey carries it. Matt admits that Trey carries it, but without Matt, it just wouldn't work. It's just such an amazing relationship. It was like the perfect creative partners for each other. But 6 days, and yeah, I mean the documentary is crazy. Like they will finish an episode 3 hours before Comedy Central has to air it, right? And like,
what? That's crazy.
Dude, it's
and
insane.
they just have to trust in them. They know it's going to be good.
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's just
That's incredible.
That's mental,
right. And it's like, but
Because
this is
what's
something I
their
want to ask
schedule
you
like?
guys.
How many episodes a week? Like,
So it's like half a year, which is why they're able to do like Book of Mormon, and they
I was
have
going to
a,
say, I was going to ask about book. Did you guys watch Book of Mormon, by the way?
it's unbelievable. It's incredible.
It's so funny.
That's made $1 billion on Broadway, right? So
That's what. So when you said about the billionaire thing, that was also going into my head.
Yeah.
Realistically, I would, if I was actually estimating, I would have said like hundreds of millions, because to get to $1 billion is actually really quite difficult. So now, so what's actually happened here? There's a new deal that's valued them at X amount, right?
they became official billionaires after this recent. You guys saw the Paramount stuff, right? Like that week was insane. So you have to think, what is the most valuable asset for streaming services in 2025? Like what is a single most valuable asset? What would you guys say to?
Yeah, I mean the stuff that you're going to be watching multiple times a week.
So TV shows with big catalogs, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Office, Seinfeld, Friends,
Yeah.
Suits blew up recently. These shows are mad. So and as you guys said at the beginning, South Park is the top of this. They have 26 seasons, 300 plus episodes. It's insane, right? And just the cultural, they're in the zeitgeist. So this is actually a great conversation to have, because do any of you guys subscribe to Paramount? Do any of you guys have Paramount Plus? I know Jack might.
I've had it like on and off. I've had it on and off.
Because of Tilla Sheridan, right? Jack, you're the Sheridan guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we got it for, forget what the recent one, but we have it, I think.
They actually have a really amazing movie catalog, obviously, because of it's
Paramount. Yeah, that's
so
true.
I think I've like subscribed to it for certain things. And then honestly, I think there was football, like maybe it was Champions League or something was on Paramount Plus for a bit. So I was subscribed for that as well. And
Well, so they're
but I don't think
doing-
I have it right now.
So I'm going to pitch to you guys something. So they're doing something it's super interesting, right? So this deal that South Park got happened in the same 2-week period when Skydance, who's founded by David Ellison, Larry Ellison, the second richest guy in the world, Oracle, his son David, had a media company, Skydance, a film production company. They merged with Paramount in an $8 billion deal. There's huge controversy around this. You guys might remember, like 60 Minutes, like paid Trump to settle a lawsuit, and like there's been huge controversy over, and then they canceled the Stephen Colbert show, and some people think it's because Colbert had criticized Trump, which he has been, but it's also because late night talk shows are just a completely dead asset now.
Yeah, and they
It's
cost
like-
so much to produce.
It
like,
costs $100 million
it is
a
kind
year.
of maybe me and Jack talked about it. Or it was one of the episodes
Yeah,
where all three of us
we
weren't
did.
here. I think it was Jack and I. We'd love to get your take on that, actually, Trunk, since we're talking about it. Because what was I'm just comparing it directly with Joe Rogan podcast or Theo Von's podcast, where there's like a producer in the room, maybe one other person's editing, if that, and then the host and
Oh,
guests.
dude, did you guys know the
Versus
numbers
100
on
people.
Colbert?
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's 200 people. It's 100 people, 20 writers, which is insane. 20 writers making probably union wages, 200 grand a year. That's 4 million on writers, right? And exactly like you said, Blau, it's Jamie and Rogan in a studio.
And that's
Right?
just, it's a perfect example of like the old TV model, which worked 10, 15 years ago, but has been kind of outdated for a while. And it feels almost like amazing that it even ran this long.
Oh
Considering
no, you
it
can
cost that much.
justify $100 million a year in the 90s when Jay
Yeah.
Leno was doing $1 billion in ads, right?
was gonna say,
Letterman
yeah.
was doing $1 billion in ads, which is what was happening. You nailed it. That's exactly it. But like, so the Paramount deal had to be cleared by FCC. So everyone was thinking, okay, well, they're basically just paying off Trump to make sure this deal gets done. And like South Park, these guys are, this is what I want to ask you guys about. they're like no one else is at their level of untouchableness. Maybe Rogan. The South Park guys are literally untouchable. They have and can make fun of everyone. They're equal opportunity offenders, which is what they call themselves. They make fun of everyone on every administration, on every side. They do not care, right? And they will do like Bilal's still laughing about the episode that he didn't want to mention because it was just so insane, right? But like
Game show. That's the hint.
Beyond uncancelable. Did you guys watch the first episode they did this year? They get a $1.5 billion. So here's the deal. They got a $1.5 billion exclusive streaming deal with Paramount Plus. Separately, they got a 5-year, $1.25 billion development deal. So they got over $2 billion in deals from Paramount because David Ellison, now that he owns this asset, and including the streaming thing, he wants to make sure there's content on there. The first thing they do when they get this $2 billion plus in deals is they make fun of Skydance. They make fun of the Trump administration, right? These guys
they're just
do
letting
not
you
care.
know that they're gonna anything's gonna fly. That's kind of
anything's gonna fly. But
brand.
here's another interesting thing, because the reason why I wanted to ask you guys about if you subscribe to Paramount was if you actually look at what Paramount Plus is putting together. So they have South Park, which is just closed. They have Taylor Sheridan. They also just paid $7.7 billion for 7 years of UFC. So
that's a big
they've
deal.
kind of created the bro package. Taylor Sheridan, South Park, and UFC. Right? So I'm saying like in the streaming
smart.
race, right, is like you got to find a lane because outside of Netflix, Netflix is the staple. Everyone will have that. Disney Plus, probably because if you're a parent.
Kids, yeah.
And to combine it with Hulu.
Like you got to find an angle essentially, right?
So what do you guys think about the bro dude angle for Paramount Plus?
Yeah, smart.
Clever.
Makes sense.
Oh, and lots of football.
And how's the UFC stuff work? Because it's like
that's a big deal because it's no longer
pay-per-view?
pay-per-view.
No more pay-per-view.
That's
Pay-per-view's
quite a
gone.
big shift then, right? Because
Yeah, it's a huge shift. It's a huge shift. So
So that
people are
probably
actually
helps
making
the
UFC.
price sensitivity too, right? When you're like, oh, I was going to pay for 2 fights a year. Now I just get power. I bet they get massive uptick in subscribers from that.
Oh, for Paramount Plus. There you go, right? No, it was a
Easy
big
to
play.
justify the subscription if you were a consumer of pay-per-view fights, right?
Exactly. So
do you know the projections around the change in revenue though? Because I feel like boxing and UFC, the revenue is crazy because you're paying like $20 to $50 versus $10 a month for all the catalog on streaming, right? Or 20, whatever it is.
Well, for UFC, it's just guaranteed money, right? Like, so I'll give you an example. Bilal, to answer you directly,
Yeah.
Their deal with ESPN, UFC's deal with ESPN, which ends this year, I think it's about $500 million in media rights. So imagine that, right? ESPN's paying for probably X amount of fights, and then you get pay-per-view on top of that. The $1.1 billion probably covers anything you would have lost on the pay-per-view, right? And to Jack's point, it probably builds the
guaranteed
audience
revenue.
for UFC now, because if you're on Paramount already, you'll just maybe watch it, and then the people that are already UFC fans are getting a deal out of it. They think the big loser, as I was listening to Bill Simmons' podcast, they think actually the big loser is in a way UFC also though, because Paramount is much smaller than ESPN, right? Like just if you wanted the most mind share,
ESPN brand is huge. Yeah.
exactly for sports especially too. So like you're getting the money, but you may be losing. Like I'll give you guys an example. Do you guys think the MLS and Apple TV deal has been good for MLS? They got $250 million, which is what no one was paying, but like has it actually improved
Probably
the sport?
not.
Has more people watched?
Probably not. And you know what's interesting is like the general catalog on Apple is like way more like, I don't know, trying not to be derogatory about it, but it's way like they're trying to be very highbrow with what they put out, right?
Yes.
Vast
wanna
majority
be
of the
HBO.
content on Apple. Yeah, it's like, but in not even HBO, because HBO does the like lewd,
Yeah.
entertaining, funny, you know, like it, like the
And
the
then
home
Game of
box office
Thrones,
thing
like that
applies
level.
across the board. Yeah, and they're like in this like sort of art housey, you know, like it feels like they contradict each other a little bit with the MLS stuff. I'm always, when I go past that, I'm like, yeah, it's kind of a detour to get to that stuff
You see
True
it
that.
because it's Messi's face, right?
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like you
yeah.
open
Yeah,
just
yeah.
Messi's face on the banner, and you're just like, bro, let me. Well, you're right, because Tim Cook actually has made, to your point, Jack. Tim Cook has literally kiboshed film this, like he's made editorial decisions. So like Ted Lasso is an
crazy.
example. Is the most successful show on Apple TV Plus. We've talked about it a lot on this show. Is Tim Cook literally said. They did an original version of Ted Lasso, and Ted Lasso character was kind of mean. He literally said, "Yo, can this guy be less mean?" It's like, and it worked out
That's
for them, right?
pretty wild.
Yeah, that's wild. But let me.
But also, Trunk, to answer your question, I'm
Yeah.
a big football fan, as you know, and I don't think I've
There
ever
you
watched
go.
MLS.
MLS
There you
is
go.
just not that good either.
Yeah, and that's the truth. And it may be, but that might be just me. So I don't know if it has grown. And I will say next year's a World Cup year. So I wonder if they'll be in the US or in America, North America. So I'm curious to see if that will bleed over with more excitement for the sport. I just think it's a systemic thing. It's like soccer, football is not a popular sport in the US generally across the board. It's becoming maybe more popular. But the truth is that if you do like football / soccer, then you're probably watching the Premier League anyway, because they show it all the same. Like that's 2 hours, 3 hours a week you're watching. You might as well just watch the better league. So that shows it on NBC or whatever. So yeah, I'll be curious to see the actual numbers. Have you seen any of the numbers if they've grown much?
For which? No,
For
I've
MLS?
heard the MLS owners are actually complaining. So they took the money,
Okay.
but they're saying like it's actually slowing the league's growth.
It's
Which
kind of like, you know, when Spotify was buying up those podcasts.
yes,
It reminds.
Rogan.
I was
You've
going to say.
mentioned this. You said you stopped listening to Rogan.
I stopped listening to for a while because I just don't like listening on Spotify, which is
Yep.
very like N of one thing. It's not.
No,
I'm sure
I'm the
most
same,
people-
dude. Well, no, it's because the default was Apple. Like I just didn't want to change
Or for me, I'm
defaults.
using another app, so it's just like to move everything over, and then it's like I don't like mixing the music with the podcast because they're two different modes for me.
Yeah, well, I'm so specific.
Yeah, no, it's
Hey
probably
man,
just
listen,
me,
you
to be honest.
listen to 3-hour podcast and then you listen to Drake
No, it's like
or Bad
I like
Bunny.
to know.
I just don't
I
like
go
that.
to the podcast app and I know that's what I'm listening to.
Yeah,
and then when
yeah.
I'm on music, I honestly literally forget. You know, like the Atomic Habits thing of like, if you want to read more, put your Kindle next to your bed or your book next to your bed. That designing
No,
the
it's
space.
the same. Well,
It's the
or
same
like
thing
our
here.
friend
It's
of
like I
the pod,
literally
George
forget.
Mack. Cocaine
Yeah.
phone, kill phone. It's the same idea, right?
Yeah,
Jack,
exactly.
this is Jack's wheelhouse. Design is that you create separate entities. But let me actually just walk you guys quickly on how they became Billies on this, and it's fascinating. So, to your point, Jack, you'd mentioned Seinfeld being a billionaire off of the Seinfeld reruns, but him and Larry David only get 15% of that back end. So that's enough for them to be billionaires, but 15%. Trey Parker and Matt Stone get 50, half of every streaming deal. So the 1.5 billion that Paramount
That's
paid
messy
them,
numbers, isn't it?
yeah, they get 750 million. Prior to that, HBO paid 550 million for 5 years. They got 275 million. Before that, Hulu paid 200 million for 5 years. They got 100 million. Dude, these numbers are only going to go up, and it's in perpetuity. So Paramount gets half, and Matt Stone and Trey Parker get half. This will be worth 5 to 10 billions over lifetimes of this deal. The way, and so you're probably wondering how the hell did they get half? And it happened because of an insane clause in their 1997 TV contract. Their first TV deal, they signed with Comedy Central, had a clause that the lawyers snuck in at the last second. It said that the creators, Matt Stone and Trey Parker, get at least 0.5% of non-broadcast TV revenue. So remember, this is 1997. At the time, Comedy Central considered that clause meaningless. There was no non-broadcast TV revenue separate from like merchandise and then DVD, VHS, right? But those are already well known. That was a negotiation. Fast forward 10 years. Within a year, South Park had already become the biggest cable show ever. Their first episode was called Anal. The first episode ever was Cartman Gets an Anal Probe. Like, we just got demonetized on this podcast. Cartman Gets an
What an
Anal Probe.
incredible character as well,
Was
by
the
the way.
first, yeah, unbelievable.
Oh, Cartman umbrella.
Probably,
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say to you guys, you know, you mentioned Trung earlier about like the fact it's 26, 27 seasons is insane, just longevity. But just even going back to like 90s, early 2000s, like they were top 3, top 5, like zeitgeist maybe top one, right? But I'm just thinking, for me, it would have been like if Ali G kept going for 27
Ali G,
years. Or
Yes.
whatever.
That's a
Or
great
like
example.
Borat or something, because
If
it
you
was
kept-
people would go to school and do the impression of Cartman, and they'll do the impression of Borat or Ali G. But the fact that they kept it going for that long is pretty insane.
Well, let's give an example. Simpsons and Family Guy are still going. Neither of them are as relevant as South Park is, right?
That's a good
Yeah.
point.
Like South Park is just throwing bombs.
I didn't know Family Guy was still going.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
still going. But here's an example. Seth MacFarlane is no longer doing that show. He has a team. The Simpsons writing team has changed probably 5 times since they started. It's still Trey Parker and Matt Stone, right? Cranking out in 6 days new episodes. And again, you guys had actually asked earlier, just to wrap that question up, you'd asked how much are they doing? They're doing half the year basically. So they go super hard for half a year, and then they have time to do projects
They go
like
to Amalfi Coast
they
for the
made-
next few months. or
no,
something.
they do freaking
they're
like the
working.
Book of Mormon, right?
That's
And they have a-
incredible, isn't it? Wow.
They have a movie with Kendrick coming out next year. Kendrick Lamar is making a movie with Matt Stone and Trey Parker. And but just to close out that contract clause, 2007 rolls around. 2007, Netflix announces streaming. YouTube is acquired by Google in late 2006. Viacom, Paramount, they own Comedy Central. Everything from Paramount, Daily Show, and South Park is getting ripped and thrown onto YouTube. So, Bilal, you remember this. Viacom sued YouTube for $1 billion, right?
Yeah, that was like a famous case, yeah.
You've talked about this, right? The resolution was Content ID.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And one of the big things that was getting ripped was South Park. So 2007 comes out, the 10-year contract's done, and they're renegotiating. And what they came out to is they started a website called South Park Studios. So they put all their shows on for free, and Viacom was okay with this, even though they have to give 50% of their ad revenue to South Park guys because they're getting their faces ripped off by YouTube. So that started this 50-50 split. And it all came from this meaningless contract clause. And fast forward, that's how they became billionaires. And I'll finish with this because it's fascinating. Their entire business is in a production company now called Park County, and they only pay themselves $10 million a year, like relatively speaking. But their company now is the income they're making on their company is about $500 million a year. But they're putting it all back into projects. Like that's what I love about these guys, man. Is like they're in it for the love of the game. So
I was gonna say that's just a crazy, like I said, longevity, 26, 27 years, whatever it is, and the fact that they don't need to work, obviously, right? Like they can be chilling on the Amalfi Coast, like I was saying, but they found something they love that much, like they.
No, but it's like even yeah, you're right. It's like it sounds corny, but dude, these guys they're in the grinder, working 100 hours a week, half the year, right, to deliver this show. They don't need the money.
Yeah,
it's actually funny. Matt Stone was asked about it when they signed their previous deal, $1 billion deal with Paramount, before even these ones, and he told Bloomers like, dude, I'm already rich. Like I don't need this money. It's like we're doing it to keep doing projects. It's like this doesn't change my life at all, is what he said.
I'm thinking in rap terms. This is if Lil Wayne, in that run that he was on when he was just mixtape.
Dude, the
and he was
mixtapes, Carter 1, Carter 2, Carter 3.
Turn up in the booth and just spit like he would just.
Turn up in the
But imagine him doing that for 27 years or however many years it's been. Sorry, I was using the series number as number of years. I don't know if that's the same. How many years they've been going? Is it 25 plus years?
Yeah.
Yeah, so insane, man.
27. Yeah, there's 27 seasons.
I mean, yeah. Could you imagine Lil Wayne was still going at that level, man, for 27 years? Incredible. I mean, that's the velocity that they've been pumping it out. So, all right, boys, I think we can wrap it here because we've got to record one more here for you guys. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed that. And we'll see you guys next week. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Peace.